All right, next we need to start finding our reference angles. So, what it says is if theta is a non-quadrantal angle. What that means, well, quadrantal angles are the angles that fall right on your axis. So these are all quadrantal. So if we're non-quadrantal, that means we're actually falling into one of the quadrants. Remember, we have quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. So to find our quadrantal angles, you sketch the graph. We can follow these steps. First, we're going to sketch the graph, the given angle. 2, we're going to identify the quadrant it falls in. If it falls in quadrant 1, then theta is our reference angle. The reference angle is the angle that's created with the x-axis, the acute angle, so the smallest angle. Then, step 3, we'll find its reference angle. So if it's in quadrant 1, the theta, the angle, is the reference angle. However, if it falls into quadrant 2, here, notice theta wraps around, and our reference angle would be created down here. So if we take 180 and subtract our theta, we'll get our reference angle. If we're in radians, we take pi, because remember this is pi over here, or 180 degrees, and subtract theta. This same thought process works in quadrant 3, where they're then coming back to 180 or pi. So in quadrant 3, we're going to take theta minus 180, or theta minus pi, depending if you're in degrees or radians. And finally, if we're in quadrant 4, it's going to be 360. So we wrap around with theta, and our reference angle would be whatever's missing to get you up to 360 or 2 pi. So let's go ahead and try this out. A couple of things you need to remember. Reference angles always need to be between 0 and 90. So if you find something out of that range, you know you've made a mistake. And also, they're always what's measured from the x-axis. Okay, so for example, if we want to find the reference angle for 150, first, let's sketch it. So 150, we've got 0, 90, and 180. 150 is going to wrap around past 90 and into our second quadrant. Here's our terminal ray. So we can first identify our quadrant. The quadrant is the second quadrant. And our reference angle, so will be 180 minus the 150, which is 30 degrees. So where's that 30 degrees? Well, that is right in here. It's what's left to get back down to that x-axis. Next, if I want to find a reference angle in radians, I'll follow my steps again. I need to first sketch it. This time I'm in radians. So 0, pi, up here's half of pi, and 3/2 of pi. So 3/4 of pi. Well, 3/4 of pi is 3/4 of the way over 2 pi. So I draw in my reference angle in my terminal side. I can find that then by first identifying my quadrant is in quadrant 2 again. And my reference angle is going to be what's left right here to get me down to that x-axis. Notice we're really creating this 90-degree triangle, and we want to know what theta is in here, the reference theta. So to do that in our quadrant 2, we look up here. We're going to take pi minus our angles, so pi minus 3/4 of pi, and that gives me 1/4 of pi, or 45 degrees. All right, there's 3 more examples at the bottom of the page. You can now practice.